have a film interlude of sorts now. But I tell you what, let's have a look at a clip first of all. It's a film called Titanic Love. Here's a clip. Enjoy this.
She knows everything there is about that ship, but honest to God, it is driving me loopy.
Guess what, babe? It's Titanic time!
Then, of course, there's the balcony of embarrassment. I hate this balcony.
I love that bit. But the Titanic, what a story. Mark Pressdee is the man who, behind the film Titanic Love, you wrote it, directed it and everything. What made you want to do this, Mark?
It was the essence of the original story, and obviously Cameron's film Titanic seemed to touch the world. And I think it's just the story in general of Titanic on so many levels, and I was quite fascinated by it. And then I was invited to an exhibition in Netherton about Titanic and about the relationship to Titanic to all the manufacturing that was produced for the ship, which I had no idea about. 80% of the products for Titanic were made in the Black Country and Birmingham, and that was the spark. I'd kind of been thinking about doing a contemporary story, and that was the fuse that lit the match.
And it was, I mean, I was talking to Andrew Lound last night, a historian who is an expert on the Titanic, as you know, because he was involved with this particular project. I mean, it's 104 years ago, isn't it, that the ship went down?
Yeah.
And we still talk about it. There is no, the interest, in fact, it's probably greater interest today than maybe there was a few years ago.
I think so, because of social media and people sharing the stories. It is amazing. I think the story, you couldn't actually write that as a script. If it hadn't have happened, it would be unbelievable as a story. And I think, you know, the tragic elements of the story and all the different levels is...
Yeah, because that's the thing, you can never forget, 1,500 people died, didn't they, for goodness sake?
Yeah.
So, as you say, anniversary tomorrow. This is a short film. How long does it actually run?
It's what we class as a mid-length short. It's a commercial, 30 minutes. So it's 26 minutes in total.
How long did it take you to write it?
I actually had the idea in my head for a few years, kept telling people. I finally wrote the script in 2009. I submitted it to a local funding competition. It didn't get selected because they said they didn't think it would travel outside the region. So I took that on the chin, and I thought, I still think I got this vision that it would do really well. So at that time as well, 2009, 2010, the recession kicked in. It was a really bad time to try and get investment or funders involved. So I just thought, you know what, I'll put my money where my mouth is, and I saved up on different jobs and invested in the film myself, and just brought in a fantastic local crew, a lot of freelancers and companies that I work with regularly, and they all jumped on board, literally.
So once you got to the stage where you thought, right, OK, we can go make this, how long did it take to film?
From 2009, it took me till 2011 to get everything in place and put a budget in place myself, finance it, so massive risk. And then myself and all the crew and the cast from Birmingham Theatre School, who I'd worked with and auditioned. We shot it actually over 6 days in October and November.
So where did you film it?
Predominantly in Birmingham. I wanted to pick different aspects of Birmingham to show the new and the old, to reflect the story and the history. So a lot of the films in central Birmingham, in Hockley, and some quite interesting scenes in the Jubilee Quarter. We also show the town hall and really big, significant buildings to tie in with how huge Titanic was.
Because I'm sure an awful lot of people don't know, and I know Andrew Lound has done a new book that's coming out in June, that explains just how much connected with that ship came from this part of the world.
Yeah, as I said, I had no idea till I went to the exhibition. I'd seen Andrew Lound online. I've been doing a lot of research for the film. I went to visit Andrew, and he was amazing. He read the script, corrected any mistakes that I'd made it more historically accurate. From then to now, got me in touch with companies that are still in existence from 100 years ago, because we were the workshop of the world. And I was so impressed with Andrew and his input and his enthusiasm that he's got a cameo in the film.
Has he?
Yep.
Can you tell us what part he plays?
Yes, we bring Titanic to Birmingham. I can't give too much away, you have to watch the film, but Andrew plays one of the ticket masters, and he turned up in a authentic White Star liner outfit which he'd had made himself. All the buttons were manufactured from the company that still makes the brass buttons in Birmingham.
I think it's something sometimes for a writer, you have the idea, you write the script, and in this case you're directing the film as well, so it is your baby, you're so into it. How difficult or easy it was to get the actors to get the same feel for it? Because it's a sort of film presumably where you need people to have a real feel for what they're doing.
Yeah, the rehearsal process plays quite a large part, and casting as well. I've been working with 25 actors that year. I work at Birmingham Theatre School and deliver their acting module, acting to camera, and I thought, well, I'm working with 25 actors. There must be 4 or 5 from these 25 actors who I could work with, and I auditioned quite a few, and 4 came forward. And then we workshopped the scripts and worked with different ideas and different ways of bringing the vision to life, and seeing them act in the part, suddenly we had the film.
At least you weren't in a situation where you're there directing a film and you've got the writer tapping you on the shoulder and saying, I didn't mean that, I didn't mean this. Did anything change between the initial idea, the writing, and then actually committing it to film?
Yes, we had. I had a development team who worked with me rather than me trying to push everything, so that you have to, in a sense, to kind of broaden things out and bring new things to the table. So it was constantly evolving. I'd say the core of the script was always there, but there was new elements coming in with the different products we were using. And my friend Mark, who I work a lot with on story, we work quite close together on developing the script, almost right up till the shoot day. And work with the actors as well, just on dialogue, authenticating dialogue, and on the female parts as well and the male parts.
Did you have sleepless nights while you were doing all this?
Yes, it was kind of like quite terrifying at times, because suddenly it started as a small project. People got word that I was going to make a film. People were quite excited that, I think in times of recession you get better work. You get artists and filmmakers actually just thinking, right, there's no funding, or it's difficult times or austerity, I'm just going to do it myself and produce better work in some context. So that's what we did. Word got out. Suddenly from like 4 or 5 crew, I had 30 crew. So it was a big crew, and then I had all the actors and then all the extras, and obviously that impacted because I had to bring in more finance because I wanted to feed everyone, and expenses and things like that.
And as you can see, hopefully from here, he's won awards with it as well.
Yes, these are 2 fairly recent awards from Liverpool International Film Festival that was screened in November, and I got a call off the film festival director saying it was one of the favourite films. One of the best films that I've watched in quite a long time, so I was really pleased about that. And obviously the connection with Liverpool and Titanic, with it being registered there, I was really interested to see how it would be received. So to win the awards was great.
When you go to an event like that, bearing in mind it's 4 years since you made the film,
yeah.
When you go to something like that and you sit and watch it, are you saying to yourself, I want to change that, why did I do that, why did,
Yeah, I think every filmmaker, every artist is never happy with the finished product, and you're thinking, well, if I'd had a bit more time, I could have done that. But you have to just let it go and think it's doing its job. It's proved itself with the audiences it's working with, and so yes, yeah.
It's one thing to make films, it's quite another to win awards. You're off to Russia, I believe, next week?
Yes, off to Russia next week on the 20th to one of their biggest maritime film festivals, run by an ex-Russian Navy submarine commander, Sergei Aplalev, who runs the festival director. He saw the film last year, loved it. I didn't know what he'd think of it, being a Russian submarine commander, and I found out he'd worked with Harrison Ford on the Hollywood film K-19, The Widowmaker. Right. He was the technical consultant, and he wants the film because they don't get many British comedies.
Yeah. Is comedy the right word for this film, do you think?
I get asked that a lot, and obviously we're very respectful to the tragic elements of the original story. The film as such is about obsession. It's about a woman obsessed with Titanic, the film Titanic, and obsessed with all the manufacturing. So the Titanic itself is kind of a backdrop to her obsession. I like that as a theme because it's normally men obsessed with football or socialising or playing on games. So I wanted to spin it so that she's got this quirky obsession that drives a fella mad to the point that he has to get all his friends to bring Titanic to Birmingham.
When you started to write it, you had an outline in your mind, you had an idea. Did you actually work from the front to the end, or did you write the end and then drop bits in as
I
you
did
went along?
actually, yes. I did what's called a step outline, so I kind of got an idea of the story, and then it's a bit like bullet points. I wrote the first thing that happens down to the last one, so it might be 60 points or whatever. Have a look at those, juggle them around, and then develop the script from that. But I kind of got a vision, a clear idea of the story, a beginning, a middle and an end.
Was developing the story the hardest part of this whole project?
Not necessarily. I'd say it's a big part of it. I think pulling it together, pulling in the right crew. I was really lucky to bring in some really top crew who work in TV and film and freelance projects from the region, who heard what I was doing and wanted to be involved.
And of course the thing is, when the actors have gone to another job or to the job centre and the crew have gone on to do something else, then you've got to start the edit, haven't you?
Had to start the edit, yeah, that was a big process as well, because when you're doing a film, even though I'd put some money into it, it's a low budget short film, there's always things that you haven't had a chance to film or get, so that was a big part. There's a bit of CGI in the film as well, which a Canadian filmmaker assisted with, but yeah, I'd say we were on it for a few weeks with the edit team.
Was there ever a moment when you thought, this little sequence isn't going to work because, or had you got everything that you wanted?
When we were on set, I mean, I was working with a real high calibre crew, and they've done a lot of stuff, and there was a real energy. When they saw the actors, I think some of the crew were like, I'm not sure how this is going to pan out, you know, being with the comical aspect. And the cast was so good, so believable, and brought the story to life, that we just knew we'd got something special.
Because comedy is the hardest thing to write, isn't it?
It is, it really is.
You
difficult.
write it one night and you read it in the morning and you think, well, that ain't funny.
Totally.
Was that how it was?
Yes, there's a few gags that really work in the film and have translated, which is really interesting. I was a bit, after I made the film, I realised it's actually very Midland-centric, and I was worried that film festivals would think it's too Midland-centric, but they liked the fact that they'd never really seen a film about showing off Birmingham and the Black Country in such a dynamic way, in such a visual way, so that actually helped.
We were talking in the break about that, and I was talking to some people today in industry, and the big thing, and it seems to be across comedy and sport and all the rest of it, this part of the world, for some reason, doesn't shout about itself enough, does it?
No, Birmingham and the Black Country, we need to shout louder. I mean, I've made this film, it's been seen all over the world, yet it's not really had much receivership in the Midlands itself. It's never actually had a major screening or anything like that.
Yeah. And that must disappoint you. I mean, when you think of, I know to some extent this has been a labour of love for you, but nonetheless, must disappoint you.
It is disappointing. I mean, I made the film for that reason, in a sense. I thought I need to get out to make a project, and I promised all the cast and crew that I would get it screened in cinemas around the world, and they were like, whoa, that's going to be tough. And I found it easier to do that than to get it screened in the Midlands.
So, what we haven't talked about yet is how you got into this game. I mean, did you go from school, you were a good writer, you went to college and university and did film and all that?
No, I'm a little bit older than most filmmakers in the region, and when I left school, there was no real film schools or anything major to go in, or media courses, and I went into the motor trade like a lot of family and friends back then, and I worked in industry for 7 years. I've always come from a performance background, played in bands and things, and I just knew that this is what I wanted to do. The film is about dreams as well. It's about the female character's dream, in a sense, and her obsession. And my dream is to tell stories. So after 7 years, I resigned from my job. Everyone thought I was crazy, and my family and friends, and I just went for it. And I got a job working for a charity in Ireland and America for 2 years, and travelled with that. And that brought me onto the set of Braveheart, which kind of gets a little nod in this film with Mel Gibson. So that was quite a turning point, seeing that. And then I came back, did a film course, and ITV back then used to do a talent scheme in the Midlands called First Cut. I entered that as a writer-producer because my storytelling, I really wanted to push that. And that was it, then I was in, off the back of that, the first film that I did.
Because any aspiring person who does film and all the rest of it, university and college, and you say to them, what do you want to do? And they say, I want to be a director. Now, you've actually proved that you can do that.
Yeah, you can. It's a long, hard journey and a slog. But, you know, if you
To
really...
become an overnight success, eh?
Yes, yeah. And the hardest part is you make the film. A lot of filmmakers fail by not distributing the film or getting it into market. And that was always the end game for me, was to get it into market.
So there we are. In case you haven't seen it and don't know about it, it's Titanic Love. Mark Pressdee is the writer-director. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Bob.